Over the weekend, Squad 44's dev team, or more specifically, OWI's Luna, the community manager, and Katz, the lead over at Mercury Arts, sat down with Mr. Yazoo for a 1-hour interview over on Twitch. Yazoo was so gracious enough to let me clip it all down into a digestible YouTube format, so shout out to him, and let's get right into it. What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Mil-Simp tax shooter and historic gaming channel. If you are a big Squad 44 fan like myself, you're probably going to want to watch this video in its entirety and pay close attention, because there are some juicy, for lack of a better word, tidbits that seemingly leak out in this interview. In fact, the only reason I caught them is because I've listened several times now editing this down. Of course, I will be sure to point them out to you guys when it happens, but definitely pay close attention. They are giving us a lot of good information in this interview. Starting out, Katz will be giving a general overview of the state of development. He'll touch on Mercury Arts' relationship with off-road industries, and of course, plans for development going forward. Alright, go ahead and get yourself comfortable. Let's get right into this.
Players are concerned the game is going to become Squad rather than Squad 44. I am and I'll just go through and reassure and say where this sort of fits in with the update. So I'm a long-term Squad 44 player. I have very few hours in Squad. I'm not a Squad player. I enjoy Squad 44. You know, and that's where my head's at, kind of thing. But if players think that our development is going to be limited purely to just fixing bugs in terms of the game where it's at, that's not going to bring new players in. That's not going to help the game survive in terms of becoming sustainable going forward. So we will look at mechanics that maybe feature in other games in OWI's purview. So, you know, I've said before, I like the flamethrowers in Beyond the Wire, for instance, or the shotguns. So, you know, things like that. We're not going to just say, hey, we're going to be closed-minded to any other mechanics that might exist in any other game. So as such, you know, stuff like that might come in, you know, in future. But as I kind of alluded to earlier, we inherited a lot of spaghetti code, and we've needed to fix that. And to do that, we've had to make some significant changes to rework the logistics and spawn system, because that was one of the areas where the most sort of ties together were causing issues. But when we looked at it and we were reworking it, we also wanted to address some of the metas in the game. So, you know, Yuzu, you're a long-term player as well. I'm sure there's plenty in chat. How many in chat right now can say they've played a game as a defender and the attackers have beat them to the next defending cap and they end up being the attackers? You know, that was a bad game meta that needed to change. So
quite often.
We needed to change that gameplay mechanic, because, yeah, Blitzkrieg did happen in 1940, but you know, we don't want that happening in a game, because what's the point defending if you can't even get to the point before the defenders? So that was something we wanted to fix. You know, lots of armor players had complained previously about AT guys who would jump in a jeep and, you know, from a vehicle tent on a fob in the middle of nowhere, and would park pretty much outside their main, speed up to them and lay a charge and blow their tracks off and then camp the vehicle. That was a bad game meta that we needed to address. Similarly, playing on something like Graph, where you've got 3 crossings within 300 meters, and say the layer where the Americans were attacking down in the south, it was standardized gameplay for the Allied logistics squad to go up and block that bridge, preventing the German logistics or the German tanks getting across. That was another meta we wanted to block. So seeing all of these things, we had to think about the good of the game. Yes, it's fun for the guy who's the commando logistics squad playing behind the lines, but that's not logistics. The definition of logistics doesn't feature into, you know, commandoing across a bridge. You know, having the greatest tank system in gaming at the moment with the armored rework, as it is not helped by AT players running around in jeeps and sneaking up behind them. So we wanted to get the game back on a footing where the players could actually fight over points, where they actually felt they were fighting on the front line rather than simply undertaking a spawn hunting simulator or commando blocker behind the lines. So it became obviously quite controversial because long-term players are very used to the previous metas and used them. So did I enjoyed them. But at the end of the day, we have to think about the game itself and the gameplay loop, as well as fixing the code, and that's really where our focus has been. Is it fixed? No, it's something we want to refine. People might say, why didn't you go into testing prior to release it? Well, we did. We undertook about 7 or 8 tests, I think, Luna, something along those lines, but we never got a full server. No. So in order to actually get this out and check it and test it, we had to push it out to public. So, we've been taking the feedback on board. We do want to push a patch with some amends to the system, but bear with us because we've had to fix some crash issues associated with old code that's got cleaned up, and we've only just found sort of what we think is the issue behind it. So, we are listening. I promise you we are listening. We understood it was controversial, but the aim is for the good of the game itself moving forward to get this sorted. And also we will be patching based on feedback that we've had, as well as what we've seen and played in games of our own. So the community does have a voice. We do listen. You don't need to go review bomb or whatever. We will look in feedback and we will engage with those who can chat to us, on the level about it. So we are from the community, we get it, but just to put on the line, that is why those changes took place, and why we won't be going back to the Zerging meta or the commando logistics. Big focus. That's not so on our side at the moment. You're seeing a lot of models being updated. When the models are being updated, we're reducing the amount of materials on the models, which reduces in turn something called draw calls, which again will help your computer kind of run a bit faster. We've obviously got a lot of work to do on that. The grass that was brought in and the new snow textures should help with performance. We're aware there's still significant issues at the moment, and also because of the new graphics settings as well, there's some issues with them that we're working through as well. But performance is definitely one thing we have in mind, and predominantly that's being driven by OWI coders as well, looking at stuff there. So it is something that we have at the forefront of our mind, along with the bug fixing as well. We're aware of the issues at the moment, and we are working on them. And also, if you have got a lower end system, then just make sure you turn off SSGI. That's just sort of screen space global illumination. So that can take away quite a lot of FPS because it's more for high end systems.
Is there anything you can give us, Katz? Just something.
I like flamethrowers.
Flamethrowers.
He likes them.
I like flamethrowers, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
You would save them Private Ryan, right?
Don't shoot him! Let him burn!
They're great.
I'm just trying to think what armies actually use flamethrowers. They all did, right? Apart from the British? I don't know.
Yeah, the British had flamethrowers as well.
Flamethrower tanks? Question mark?
I like flamethrower tanks.
Cool.
I've got nothing that I can say for sure because stuff has to be technically feasible. But when you say is new content coming, well, the game will need new content in time, I'm sure, and hopefully the roadmap will provide a bit more information. We are looking at potentially a new game mode in future, or making tweaks to some of the existing ones, kind of thing. I was a big proponent for hidden offensive with randomization. Whether that's feasible with the code that we've inherited, I don't know. We can look at that, and as I say, there'll be other game modes that we're considering as well. Yeah.
What about factions? Come on, are there any new factions or units you have planned for the game? Like along those lines?
I like shotguns.
Shotguns.
I think I'll leave it to the roadmap for stuff like that. I'm afraid, dude.
I really feel like Katz is hinting towards the Pacific Theater with the flamethrowers and shotguns, flamethrower tanks. Anyway, let's keep it rolling.
Oh, hopefully in the future, it's one to strive towards. But we've only had this for 2 months now, so give us a bit of time.
Yeah.
They've had it for 5 years, so give us a little bit of time on that one.
Tank interiors. Any chance of that coming in the game?
I mean, in terms of sort of like mods and stuff, that's up to OWI, as Luna said. In terms of performance-wise within the game, I'm not too sure how it runs, so we'd have to consider that as well before something like that was brought in, if OWI wanted that. We want to make the game more accessible to new players, so when new players come in, a big complaint was that they didn't know where they were being shot from, and otherwise they weren't able to orientate themselves, so this helps them orientate themselves from the start. As I say, hopefully we could maybe look at a toggleable compass in future, so whether you wanted the old one or the new one. But again, we don't know if that's technically feasible. It's something we'd have to look at. But yeah, we understand how some of the older community don't like the new ones, but we have to think about bringing more players into this game, keep development going. So in terms of sound-wise, we've got access to OWI sound libraries, which are quite extensive. They've got another game, Beyond the Wire, which has got a lot of bolt-action rifles in and things like that we can use to tweak. In terms of getting live recordings of current weapons,
We already
I
did
don't
that
think
one,
that's
General.
something we could do in MA. But in terms of getting more accurate sounds in future, we can discuss that with OWI for the weapons that we may be developing in the future. We said something.
Careful, Katz.
Yeah, Lily said something.
Yeah.
He also said something else that I won't point out, but okay, we'll let people speculate.
Yeah, that's fine.
Did you hear that? You might have to rewind it back. I don't know, but if you ask me, sounds like a little leakage. Could Beyond the Wire be beginning development again soon?
So with that, I mean, that's also an executive decision. I have been reached out by a few modding teams in regards to third-party content. I have followed up with our CEO, and I've put those teams in contact with the CEO. So that's all I have right now. It is a possibility for the future, but I can't really say. But we're in communication with those teams. If there's any other modding teams that want to reach out to me and want to have some sort of event, please reach out. My DMs are open on Discord. I'm super willing to set up events and advertise and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I got big plans. Yeah, I think one of the just general community goals here at Offworld is to have regular live streams about once a month for each of our titles. So I do want to start getting in live streams. That could definitely be a part of it, where we can have sort of, sneak peeks behind the scenes, dev Q&As, whatever content we have available. There's totally a possibility to bring that back.
Yeah. I'd quite like to do. I mean, what we're doing now is, I hope, quite useful for the community and being really transparent. What I would like to do is kind of do something like this for different content creators each patch, if possible, or where we can, just so we can be as transparent as we can. The community can come along and shout at us if they want, but we want to be open with the community, and any opportunity to do that, I'm sure our guys are welcome.
I'm most likely going to open up the applications for more play testers fairly soon, maybe towards the end of the month. So if anybody is watching and would like to participate, keep your eyes out for announcements. Roadmap is coming super soon. I'm hoping next week. I'm going to say that, but don't hold me to it. But I'm hoping next week we can get the roadmap out. Katz, do we want to tease anything or drop any secrets? I don't know. Or do we want to keep the hype?
It's up to you. I would say maybe we've kept it a bit vague, but
Yeah.
we know what's coming. We've got a year's plan for it, and I have to say, there is something I'm very, very excited to see come to the game. in the future. Really excited.
Keep them hyped.
Yeah, I won't say what it is.
I'll say this because I have been talking with server hosters and stuff like that. I've currently been petitioning for better admin tools, so I'm sort of working with the community to sort of look into what sort of tools that would work best for admins and like help with running events in the future. So that's something that I'm hoping will come into the future. Yeah, maybe I'll say that. That's what I'll say.
Awesome. I might come back to it a little bit later. And Katz, you're not going to give like any kind of like a hint of what you're talking about, or like just like the slightest clue?
Let's say our animator's already been working on some cool stuff. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Very, very vague.
Very, very, very vague. Yeah.
What could it possibly be? Let me know what you think down in the comments. I personally don't think it's a faction or weapon or even theater. When he says his animators are busy, personally, I think he could be talking about tank interiors, even though he kind of glossed that over in the Q&A section earlier. I'm not even an armor player, but I think that anyone would agree that that would be an awesome added feature. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give me your thoughts down in the comments, of course. Again, shout out to Yazoo. You guys can catch the full interview over on his channel. I'll have it linked down in a pinned comment. I hope you boys are as excited for the future of Squad 44 as I am. As always, shout out to the channel members, the Mil-Simp minions. I will see you boys in the next one. Y'all be good to each other.